welcome to this special show on ET Now. I am at the campus of SRCC, the Shri College for Commerce. It is very essential that we start this budget debate in Delhi University from this campus simply because it is one of the notable alumni from this college, Arun Jaitley, who will be presenting his first full year budget on 28th February. So it is interesting that we are here with students who are looking forward to this budget, and I begin this show first by asking that when you look forward to this first full year budget by the BJP government, what do you think is the biggest expectation for you as students and as citizens of this country? Let's begin with you.
This is Siddharth from Shri College of Commerce, first year economics honors. So my basic expectation is from government to make the system more reliable, not idealistic, more reliable.
Okay, what about you?
Hi, I'm Himadri, BCom honors, second year. As a student, I would want lower interest rate for the educational loans and more institutes like SRCC, IIMs.
Hello, my name is Siddharth Gupta and I am in BCom honors first year. My expectation from the budget is employment opportunities.
Hello, myself Vinay and I'm a first year student of commerce here. My basic question to the government and as well as to everyone concerned is that we're all talking about budget, we're all talking about allotment of funds. But my question is, why don't we talk about how to utilize those funds in a proper and efficient manner? Because we see every year a lot of funds are being wasted in, say, debt schemes or things like that. So we should focus more on efficiency.
Hey, I'm Rizwan, first year BCom honors, and my expectation from the budget would be a better, like an effective allotment to commerce as a particular stream rather than just it being there for a namesake. So science is there, we have doctors, we have enough engineers, so I would like India to see more commerce.
Hello, I'm Shahid Majid. I'm in my first year of BCom honors in the college. And as a student and as a citizen, I hope that the budget actually reduces unnecessary non-development expenditure. I also hope that the budget allocates enough funds for like setting up a world-class institutes for higher education. We should look up, as students, we should be looking up to studying in India rather than going abroad. So I think the budget should implement such measures as well.
I shall now come to Mythili, our in-house economist. Mythili, we have our usual suspects here. But we also hear a lot about reliable use of funds. They're talking about little less of idealism. What do you make of the expectation that you're hearing from students this time around?
Well, absolutely, since students are the great demographic dividend that we hope to reap because we have such a large number of youngsters in the most productive ages of their entire working career. So clearly, I think what students are looking for more than anything else is growth, but not just jobless growth of the kind that we've seen earlier, but employment, and I think the best use of productive resources such that you have more jobs, more employment, more growth, and takes the country further into higher level of prosperity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I come to my second question. You've all spoken about your expectations from this budget. So my second question to all of you is that when Narendra Modi came into governance in May of 2014, he has been promising Achhe Din. Now, have you seen any palpable changes? For example, in your college campus itself, do you see your placement cell buzzing more than it was, say, last year, this time?
In the fact of like, according to my college, I'm not. Our college is like one of the best colleges in the country, and placements are also quite well. But as you're talking about the Modi government when come into the existence, I don't think that there was like a drastic change. There's a little change in the ideas.
Talking about any government structure, the basic problem is execution of strategies. So what we could do is have a separate implementation body which is run by non-government organizations so that it makes sure that whatever strategies are planned by the government are executed properly.
Do you see any palpable change, say your placement cell or anywhere when you as a student you're studying about other sectors, do you see palpable changes that are taking place in India with the new government coming into place?
As Modi government is more lean towards the market-oriented economy, it wants ease of doing business in our country. There are initiatives like Make in India, Skill India, Digital India. And there is also a sheer luck attached with it about the crude oil prices falling, the inflation rate is falling. I guess we should give Mr. Modi time because these initiatives will take time to be implemented. So it will tell over a span of time whether it's a success or not.
Do you agree with her or do you?
Ma'am, all I want to just, I would like to sum up the entire thing, and I would say it's all in paper. It's all there in paper. Everyone's excited about what's gonna come in 5 years. We'll have to wait out, like she said, and we'll see what is gonna really happen in 5 years. Like there's a difference between action and difference between dreams. So Achhe, then yeah, it's a question.
Somebody here wants to say, you want to add on to what she's saying?
Yeah, I think that it's more of marketing strategy that Modi government followed in the initial days, and now it's ending. The Modi wave seems to have gone down since you see the election results in Delhi. So I think it's coming down, and we have to wait and see what they eventually end up doing.
So you think that it's just smart sloganeering by the government?
Yeah.
That brings me to my next question. You spoke about crude oil prices, and we are seeing a global softening of crude oil prices, and because of that, inflation also is at a 5-year low. But do you think the government has leveraged the falling crude oil prices significantly, and is the leveraging enough? So do you think it's Achhe Din or do you think it's Achhe Sitare?
It'll become Achhe Din agar wo Achhe Sitare is combined by your work even. If the initiatives are implemented. So you have to use your luck, even the hard work.
It's not about Achhe Din or bad days. It's about the work that has been destroyed and the governance that has been destroyed for the past 10 to 15 years. He needs time to get it back to pace, and we should give him time. You cannot decide on something within a span of 6 months when something has been destroyed for the past 10 years. You need to give it time, at least a year, to let things start.
If I just add on to this, I'll just say that I was just traveling in a rickshaw, and the rickshaw puller said to me, "Ki bhaiya, can you please tell me how to open a Jan Dhan account?" I said, "Yeah, I can help you." And then he was saying, "But do you think it will work for me? Because some of my friends and say relatives are saying that we have not even got our passbooks yet." So the thing is, these are the ground realities. We have to also think about, the policies are there in the market, and they are, we are talking about them, but are they really being implemented well?
That's a very significant question he's raised. You want to answer that question?
I'm coming to my same point that there's so many of kind of the marketing agenda with the Modi government, that Make in India, Digital India and Jan Dhan Yojana, but the proper execution, it's not all about that. The execution on the level of the grassroots level, that is really ambiguous, still ambiguous.
Mythili, we come to you. How do you react to the issues that these students are raising? Do you think it's a case of Achhe Din or is it Achhe Sitare or a combination of two?
No, it is, as you said, it's very much a combination of the two. Clearly the government has been extraordinarily lucky because a number of factors, not just oil, but including monsoon. The monsoon everybody feared would be a complete failure, but monsoon hasn't been so bad. We've also seen the US Federal Reserve defer its decision to kind of raise interest rates. So there's been a combination of factors. The government has been extraordinarily lucky. Mr. Modi has also been very smart at coining these smart one-liners, which makes his program sound very saleable. And at the end of the day, politicians are salesmen also. The only difference is they're selling to the entire democracy because we are a democratically elected government. So that's what the kind of government we have. At the same time, the government has started work. It is true that the government has been only in office for 9 months. 9 out of 60 months that they have left with them. So they just finished not even 1/10 of what you really have, little over a tenth, frankly, we can say. So there's a long way to go. And in India, these things are not easily translated. A lot of things which are, what you speak, translating speech into action is not easy. It will take time. We have to give them time. At the same time, we must ensure that as civil society, we keep tabs on government to ensure that as and when they fail to deliver, we must ask questions. The reason why governments in India have got away repeatedly with not delivering on their promises is because we as citizens have never held the government up to task. That way, the Delhi elections is good because it checks the BJP and tells the BJP that, look, if you don't get your act together fast, remember you're not going to be in office forever. Good luck doesn't last forever. Yes, fortune favors the brave, but only for a short period of time. So it's for you to make the best use of the opportunity. So certainly, I think the students here have reflected the sentiments of the students very, very well.
That brings me to my next question. That's another new tagline that the Modi government has coined. It is Make in India. Yes, US, Japan and China, they've all shown their support. But that is what we've seen in the past also. When we come to specific companies, apart from Huawei, nobody has actually pledged that they will start working here. So this is also another case of smart sloganeering, or do you think that Make in India has the potential to actually move and bring back the manufacturing wheels back in motion?
Yes, it does, because for how long will we rely on other countries for arms and ammunitions? How long? There has to be a point of time where we have to start our own production. So maybe there's only one firm till now, but then if incentives are given, the licensing policies are reduced, and all those red tapeism and all is reduced, other firms would also be encouraged.
Okay, I think she has something to add.
I think it's a good initiative because it will help to boost GDP, which is very important right now, and also because we are focusing on falling that crude oil prices and all should fall. So this is a good initiative, I think.
About the Make in India campaign, what is it's idealistic or realistic? So my question, my idea is just like that. Ki, the Make in India, which is like attracting foreign country, why not? The Make in India campaign is focusing on medium and small scale industries in India to make empower the women which are in India, which are like people with the youths which are in India, to make them more capable, to make them more empowering. With by that we can have a Make in India campaign more like it's not like Make in India, come and make and then take. It's basically focus more
No, but
on.
that is also an underlying theme in Make in India to enable SMEs and small scale industries
But
to
but
flourish.
that we are not able to see. We're just able to see that is KPMG is coming, or if that foreign company is coming in the country or not.
You want to add something?
Yeah, ma'am. See, when you're talking about Make in India, it is a dream, and we can admit that we are one of the biggest consumers culture. So all of a sudden, when our Mr. Honorable Prime Minister threw this idea of making something, it was refreshing. Yeah, I agree. But I would say it takes efficiency, it takes decision makers, and it takes a large task force who is ready to be at a service 24/7 so that this dream can be made from paper to action. So yeah, that's practically it.
Coming for Make in India, I think it's also essential that we start focusing on how start encouraging startup ideas, and women entrepreneurial programs, because it's not only important to increase employment opportunities by employing someone else, but also to encourage independent people to come up with their own businesses and to flourish.
That brings me to my next question actually. Most of you might join after you're done with your education here, you'll be joining companies as employees, but some of you might also become employers with startups. So when you see the government as an enabler, so what are your expectations from this government when you see this government as an enabler?
Well, if we take up, there are basically two sectors. One is manufacturing and the other is service sector. Manufacturing sector is a sector which provides employment to the skilled, semi-skilled as well as the unskilled people, and the service sector only provides it to skilled and semi-skilled people. It doesn't provide to the unskilled workforce. So my suggestion to the government would be if we focus on promoting more the manufacturing sector and promoting more entrepreneurs into that, then definitely the country can grow. And moreover, as we see, the government is much into coining new terms and giving new phrases. I've also made a term for the government, just a next step for the 3 Ds. I have some 3 E's, and these are efficiency, execution and employment. If the government works in it, then definitely it will work good.
I hope Arun Jaitley is listening to what the students of his alumni has to say. Let's bring it to her. About government as an enabler, what are the expectations that you have?
The ease of doing the business in India. I was reading about these SEZs, the special economic zones. They wanted the clarity on the taxation policy of our country, and then there was like single window approvals for the licenses and not through various stages they have to go through. The MAT, the minimum alternate tax and all. So all this clarity should be provided. Then only the firms would be willing to come and do business in India, or even the startups would be ready to take up any initiative like that.
We're talking about single window clearances. Do you have something to add?
Entrepreneurship is a skill that is being developed from the bud within us. So it is there. We have the dare enough to take up that challenge. The problem is, government is an enabler. It needs to make it easier for us to come into that sector. It needs to see there are a lot of barricades that you have, a lot of hurdles you have to jump so as to reach there. Let's reduce it. Let's make it easy. Being a businessman, let's make it easy. If you have
So
to
along
make
with
in India,
Make in
make
India,
it
we're
easy.
talking about making it easy. There is a lot of demand every time that a budget is presented about bigger tax breaks. That's an Aam Aadmi demand, so to say. But we also have to remember that the government's revenue collection has been under pressure. We also have to remember that only 2% of India actually ends up paying taxes. So can Arun Jaitley really take can he actually play to the gallery this time around? And also the tax to GDP ratio in India is appalling. It's just 17.7%. What, according to you, can we do about it? Where are the new taxpayers?
Two taxation systems, regressive and progressive. But I would suggest that we should keep a uniform taxation system so that the people in the upper class and the people in the lower class do not differ themselves, that the people at the upper class have to pay more taxes and people at the lower class have to pay less taxes in veritable to their income slabs. We should keep a uniform taxation system so there's parity and no difference. So the upper class doesn't feel the hitch and the lower class doesn't feel that we're not a part of development system. When we pay equal, we feel parity and we have then the equal right to demand the equal sense of development. But we can expect anything out of the government when we fulfill our responsibility.
Okay. Do you have anything to add about it?
Yeah, I guess instead of uniform tax policy, as the Mr. Obama's government is taxing more the higher class, the richer class, I guess we could incorporate that in our system. Because if somebody is so rich, so they should be paying more taxes for the betterment of our society.
Mythili, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, certainly I think the fact is that our tax to GDP ratio is appallingly low, not just in comparison with rich countries, but also in comparison to countries which are at our level of development. And I think it's very important that all of us as citizens feel the need to pay the tax and then hold the government accountable for delivering the services that we should expect from government. Unfortunately, apart from the salaried class, which doesn't have a say because their tax gets cut at source, the self-employed, etc., the professionals just don't pay any tax. Businessmen, again, we are more interested in trying to avoid tax, evade tax and in paying our taxes. So I think there's need for government also to make it easier for citizens to pay their tax. Tax compliance has to improve. And also going back to the earlier question about manufacturing, I think manufacturing growth in India is very important for the simple reason that even though the share of agriculture share in GDP has come down quite dramatically, the share of the population dependent on agriculture has not come down at all commensurately. It's still over 55%. So if you want to take people away from agriculture and give them jobs, you can only do it in manufacturing. You cannot take a farmer from his field and put him in front of a computer. So manufacturing growth is very important. So manufacturing does need to be encouraged. The point is, how do you want to encourage it? Do you want to encourage it by giving SOPs, or do you want to encourage it by making government a facilitator? Remember what Mr. Modi said, maximum government, minimum government, maximum governance. So that's what his policy is. And if he sticks to his word and gives you more governance, there is no reason why doing business in India should not become easier, in which case manufacturing will grow, not because you're giving them SOPs, but just simply because it makes sense to do business in India. Where else do you have the markets?
But Mythili, do you think it will take some more time to see actually companies coming and setting up shop in India? Do you think that the ball has been set rolling, but it will take, the gestation period will be a little longer?
Oh, certainly, because we have an appalling record when it comes to delivery, as the students mentioned. We're very good at framing blueprints, but very bad when it comes to ensuring delivery. Execution, implementation has always been our Achilles heel. So till such time as the foreign investors and even our domestic investors or the corporates are convinced that government's policies are here to stay, there won't be the kind of flip-flop that we saw in telecom. I think you will find corporates waiting, biding their time and only then jumping in once they're sure that the government means what it says.
Okay, so as we were speaking earlier about taxes, to put it simply, all I would like to say is rather than going demographic, upper class and lower class, like I would agree to what ma'am said. Go for sectors, sector-wise when you're looking, and finally when you try to answer the question, who are the taxpayers? For tomorrow, the taxpayers are the service sector, because service sector is the most budding that we have in a country like India, which is obviously, like, we are the leaders in the IT sector already right now, like pushing back the whoever was earlier. So I would say service sector, answering it simply, service sector is in the front run for the tax paying, and manufacturing, yes, we have to bump it up with the Make in India campaign, hopefully.
My suggestion to this point, like on the taxation, like we are when we look after our economy, there are two sectors: formal sector, informal. So I feel in India there's a more of informal sector. So coming from tax from that part is like little difficult. So that's why the contribution to tax is like 2% and so many. Like we can take an example of any thela wala. If he's earning like in crores and if he doesn't pay any tax, so there may be some loop and holes. So basically government provides first an platform, then execute so many plans, then we can come out in the flying colors, I hope.
It brings me to my next topic of discussion. Subsidy rationalization is something that resonates in campuses like this. But you will also agree that there's a large section of India which actually needs subsidies. Would you deny that? Perhaps no. So how do you think that the government can balance it?
We should have sufficient revenues first of all. And announcing subsidies doesn't make a difference when it doesn't reach the right people. If it doesn't reach the right people, what's the difference? You make n number of subsidies just to fill your bellies, and ultimately the money is going in the hands of politicians, filling their bellies and not reaching ultimately to the right people. For example, 100-day employment act,
Manrega.
Manrega. I've been to villages and I've talked to people. They've not got any percent of that money, not even 1% of that money.
So you're talking about better streamlining
See,
of...
better channelizing and better ways of getting that money to the actual required sector of the people
Absolutely.
that actually deserve to get it.
I think there should be a survey which finds out any new needs that are not addressed as of now, and subsidies should address that.
So we're coming back to the same point about stopping leakages and your subsidies reaching the right people who it is intended
Yes,
for.
when they're putting the then when there was like they were giving an identity, like Aadhaar was an identity for them. Like now Aadhaar itself is now there was
embroiled in a lot of controversy.
Yes.
Absolutely. What do you have to add to it?
I think ration shops are also there for subsidies, but they're not working properly. Like they are not giving the resources to the correct people. They are just making use of it. Like they're using it for their personal purposes. So I think this should be corrected.
This is exactly what Mythili and I were discussing, right? That you have to stop the leakages.
Yeah, you need to target your subsidies better and ensure that there are no leakages, and hopefully the government's direct benefit transfer scheme that will remove a lot of the leakages, and you need to have better identification of the ultimate beneficiaries also to see that the undeserving don't get these subsidies.
But Mythili, coming to this we're having this discussion at the Delhi University. We cannot leave out the Delhi elections that just took place. Do you think that's a lesson for BJP, and do you think that they will now be forced to take the path of populism a little more than that they were considering maybe even 2 months back?
Well, I hope not, because clearly what Mr. Kejriwal is offering in Delhi is not sustainable at all. So it's plain populism, and ultimately there is no free lunch, however cliche that may sound. So certainly what I think the government will do, maybe there will be a little bit more nuance in what they say, but I do hope they don't go the Kejriwal way, because that would be disastrous for the country as a whole.
We have a proper infrastructure. There's no point talking about more subsidies and say subsidies for more people and more sectors. Like until we have more hospitals, we cannot have free medication. Until we have more schools, we cannot have free education. So the thing is, the government should focus more on developing the nation and on infrastructure rather than talking about subsidies and giving freebies to people.
And I guess the Delhi election loss, it shouldn't be an inhibition factor for them to take some bold reforms. They shouldn't take a step back for taking any bold reforms for this budget session.
But what do you have to say about the political opposition that BJP is facing as far as reforms are concerned? It could be said that they are getting a taste of their own medicine, because they are facing it in Rajya Sabha where they don't have the numbers.
They don't have, yeah. Yeah, you can say so. They are actually
getting a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, because when it comes to when they were totally opposing this nuclear liability thing when they were in opposition, but now as they have come in power, they are like totally in tune with it. They are not in opposition, so why are they doing so?
Only the one thing which I want to tell to the government is, like, for the better economic growth and for the better economic development, they must basically give more emphasis on the human development and infrastructure development in the country, rather than just making the policy and coming with the new ideas. Focus on what basically is their their agenda is. So better focus on GDP, not gross domestic product. Focus on GN, like gross national happiness too.
Let's wrap up with the view from Mythili. What do you think about this problem that this government is facing? They have the intent in place, but as far as their bills are concerned, they're thwarted majorly since they do not have the numbers in Rajya Sabha. So where do you see any kind of settlement there and adjustment there? How do you see the government coping with it, really?
I do hope so, because the bills will have to be passed. Many of the bills will require passage both in the Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha. And since the government does not have the majority in the Rajya Sabha, that will hold up a lot of essential legislation. So one really hopes that our political parties show a greater sense of responsibility, regardless of whether they are in power or in opposition. It is true that the BJP was not responsible when it was in opposition. So one really hopes that, at least as far as the country's interests are concerned, there will be bipartisan support when it comes to essential legislation. Only then can the country hope to make progress.
That brings us to the end of this very special show that we are here at SRCC. We really hope that Arun Jaitley is listening to what the students here will have to say. They believe the government has been lucky, and they are also quoting something that Arun Jaitley says very often, that fortune favors the brave, but they also think that the government has to think out of the box, as we as citizens should give the government more time, but the government has to stick to its promises if they have to see growth in this country, if they have to bring the wheels of manufacturing manufacturing back into motion.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.